4 different sections of our sales flow. And that's what we're talking about when we were talking about categorizing our people just a minute ago. So when we say categorize, we mean putting them into this sales flow. So marketing, prospect, and pending. So I've got my people in marketing. These are the people that I want to work with, right? Anybody that I could possibly work with in the future, I'll want in marketing, right? Prospects are people that have raised their hand because they say, I'm ready to buy or sell. Those are our prospects. Actives are anybody that we're currently actively working with. So hiring photographers or staging a home, those are actives. And of course, pending, meaning when we have an agreed upon buyer or seller contract. That's who our pending people are. So we even have tasks once we get that late in our sales flow. Okay, so we're going to click into one of these. So we're going to go into marketing, and we're going to take a walk through the actual sales flow itself. So we've got our folks that are in marketing, and again, these are people that I want to work with. So we'll use Christine right on top. We'll just grab somebody, and we can see that person is in marketing right up here on top. Now, we have this great-looking task list in here that is curated by the brokerage, right? This is to help us be successful with every transaction. Again, we have those pilots that go through that checklist. We have our checklist here that we can go through. So this is, again, the portion that the brokerage curated. But before we go through and actually look at the different sections of our sales flow, we're going to take a look at how to customize that sales flow to our sales process, right? No two people work exactly the same. We all have our own sales process. No matter what your methodology is, what your process is, you can have it here in Engage. It's going to help you be specific. So we have our Engage settings here. So right up on top, there's that gear wheel. And we have our Engage settings. And that's going to take you to your preferences screen. So I think you had a question earlier about where we have our leads. So if you have a Zillow Tech Connect account, you can actually set it up here in your preferences so that any leads that you have that come from Zillow will flow automatically into Engage. So you're not going to have to enter them in here. They'll just be contacts that show up in Engage. And that's here. Okay, so next is our task manager. This is how we update those tasks that we see inside of Engage, inside of our sales flow. So we have 2 marketing plans. We have our leads marketing plan, and those are for anybody that comes into Engage that you did not expressly put there, right? It's somebody that comes from a lead routing partner, or it's somebody that comes from Zillow, or let's say the name-produced sign-up sheet. We'll see that in just a second. But odds are I haven't talked to that person yet if they come from one of those. So it's going to go into the leads marketing plan. Then we have our marketing plan. So on the bottom, we can see those are the people that I expressly put there, either into Gmail or into Engage Direct. And then under that is our buyer and seller plan. So we're actually going to go into our seller plan here. And we can see all of the tasks for the remaining 3 sections. So prospects, active, and pending here. And they're organized by due date. So when are these due? So we can see on the left-hand side, all these tasks are schedule your pre-listing interview, conduct a pre-listing interview, schedule your walkthrough. They are due day 7 and day 14 and day 18 after we move that person to that section. So when I move somebody from marketing to prospects, 7 days later, this task is going to be due. That's how we order these. Now, if you want to change the due dates on these, because we know it takes a little more time or we do this faster, you can, of course, change those whenever you'd like to have that date. So let's say it's due 5 days later. You can do that here. Now, if you know that one of these tasks that's on this list is here, but you never do that task. It's part of something else, or it's just not something that you do, right? You can always get rid of that task using that remove from the plan. Okay, so now how do we add in our own custom tasks? Well, there's an add task button on the top of the page there. So we're going to go to add task, and we have a frequently added task list. So we've thought about what tasks people add into each one of these sections. So we have our list here. So if I know I want an MLS task, I just type in MLS, and there it is. There's my task that I can put in. Or I can add in my own custom task. So if I would say, part of my sales process is walking the dog, I can say, Fluffy. Yeah. That's part of our sales process. There we go. So we have our task, walk the dog. It's going to be due 3 days. So once I move this person, they say, I'm ready to buy or sell. You know what? Let me walk the dog. So that's going to be 2-3 days later. So we can see that task up on top there. So that's how we add our own tasks into our sales flow here. So let's go ahead and save that. And it is going to give you a message here. One more thing. What it's saying is that it doesn't push new tasks to existing transactions. So if I've got people that have a seller transaction, have a buyer transaction, it isn't going to push these tasks into those transactions. It is going to put them on any new transactions. So keep that in mind. This might be something that we want to do. We put our people in to engage. We get that sync over. This might be the first place that you want to come just to make sure that our sales process is what we want it to be once we categorize all of those people into a sales flow. Okay, so we'll save that. There we go. Okay, and that is our task manager, and that's how you edit that flow here. So next is your special dates. So this is another one of our touch points. We all like being remembered on our birthday, so you can save your special dates here so that those get sent out when somebody has one of those special dates. So we have birthdays, anniversaries, and house anniversaries. So if you've done business with somebody before, we can reach out to them on that day every single year until they're ready to list again. Right? Hey, it's been 5 years. Kurt, you're getting married. You want to listen?
It's time to go. You can also edit these messages too. So if you have maybe some custom verbiage that is more aligned with what you say besides what a MoxiWorks typewriter says, you can edit those, you can add them to your calendar, and you can also set an auto edit. So if somebody comes through that is a new contact, they will be automatically added to your calendar when they get synced. So
now you did see that warning message there. So we auto add, and it says, are you sure? And that's because, let's say we have 3,000 people in our database, all that have birthdays. It's going to say, well, there's only 365 days a year. That is going to dominate your calendar someday. So it wants to make sure that that's what you want to do. But we can say yes, of course, and then we can add all those birthdays into our calendar. All right, so that is our special dates. Email. So this is your email notifications. So when we send out our touch points, again, we'll see that in a second, but when we send out our neighborhood news or any of those other ones, by law, there has to be a way for them to unsubscribe, right? If people don't want to get communications, they don't have to get communications. So this is a notification. So if somebody unsubscribes, it'll send you a notification saying, okay, they unsubscribe. So that we can reach out to them and say, hey, are you just not interested in getting emails anymore, or are you genuinely not interested in emails? Or whatever you'd like to say. But it's a way of starting that conversation. But if you don't like seeing those unsubscribes, we can turn that off. Just as easy as that. All right, and neighborhood news. So this is your, neighborhood news is your set and forget marketing campaign. We're going to go into how this works and what it looks like in a little bit later. But this is the default message. So the touch point itself. So then this gets sent out, the actual paragraph. When does this get sent out? Well, what is it? And what is the thing you're receiving right now? So the first one will have this message that you can, of course, curate. And then we have the sign up. So let's actually take a look at what that is. So we have our sign-up link here. And what this is it's a sign-up sheet that somebody can sign up for your marketing newsletter on their own. So they can sign in and see the admin, their email address, and their zip code. And if they give you those three things, name, email, zip code, they'll automatically get subscribed to that marketing newsletter that will get sent out every single month. And they'll go into Engage as a new lead. I did it just before we started here. And under new, we can see, there I am. So now I have a new contact. And that's anywhere that a URL can go. So it was just your URL that we just set that up as. So that was the URL on top. But we can put that anywhere. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, email blasts, anywhere that a URL can go. I can get people to sign up for my marketing newsletter that's in my social sphere of influence or that's in my database because they clicked on that link and said, sure, I want to know what's going on in my neighborhood. All right. Okay, so that is our preferences, but more specifically, that was how we updated our task list. So let's go back into marketing here and take a look at what that actually, the sales flow looks like as we go through it. So I'm just going to click on somebody, and we can see this person's in the marketing section here. This is just somebody that I want to work with. So we've got all of our tasks here, and like I said in the beginning, we take the guesswork out of using a lot of these tools. So I haven't gone over how to set up a neighborhood news subscription yet, but I can click the green button. So if there is a green button in any one of these tasks, it brings that tool to you. So we can see the tasks are still back here in the background. But I can now sign this person up for neighborhood news right here in the task list. In the same way that I can make a personal call or schedule a meeting here, and that will open up your calendar. So boom, now I can schedule that meeting, it gets put on my calendar, and I've got that meeting now. Now, a few other things we can do with the task. We can edit the due date. So if you need a few more days, we're waiting on something, there's something that's pending, you can, of course, give that task a few more days before we can complete it. Or you can delegate these tasks. So if you work as a part of the team or you have an admin that helps you out with some stuff, you can delegate those tasks so that they can then get an email that says, hey, can you make a quick call for me? They can then do that task. It'll get sent back to you and we can check those off. So now let's say we've done that. We've checked a few of these off. There we go. So now we've done a few of these tasks. You see there's 4 done. But this person says, you know what, I'm doing it. Let's do it. I'm ready to buy or sell. So we can move that person to the prospect section of the sales flow. And it's that simple. Now, is this a buyer or a seller transaction? So we'll make this one a seller. I don't have an MLS number, so we'll make this a non-MLS listing. But I can add any information I'd like in here, and then select done. And as soon as we do that, now we're in that new section of the sales flow. And look what the first task is. Walk the dog. There it is. So I did that, I walked the dog, and now I can complete that task. Okay, so one common question we often get is, I see we just made a seller transaction, but most of the time when somebody has one of these, they're moving, right? It's a seller and it's a buyer transaction. So we can add an additional transaction. So yes, you can have both of those. So let's add a transaction, and we can make this a buyer transaction. There we go. So again, we're going to make that non-MLS. We'll select done, and now we have the 2 transactions there. So we've got our seller and our buyer down here on the left-hand side. And you can have as many transactions in here as you want. So if you're working with, let's say, an investor, they have 10 buyer, 10 seller transactions. You can have as many as you'd like, and then work on them independently. All right, so just so you can see this, if for whatever reason you need to delete or deactivate, let's say one falls through, or let's say there's 2 people that are named Christine Hoover, we can get rid of this transaction. So let's just say delete. So we'll get rid of it altogether. Okay, so now we're back on our seller transaction here, and we can see she's in that second section of the sales flow, the prospects. So once we have our prospects, we can, another common question we often get is, do you have to go in a completely linear fashion, or do you have to complete all of the tasks? The answer is no. So if you have 10 people that are in pending right now, you don't have to go through all of that. You can skip them right to the end. So we can go to pending, and then put our estimated close date, whatever that is. And then yes, and then we're now in that last section of the sales flow. So there we go. So now we're towards the end, and we can select close transaction. So we've gone through these things. We can submit our paperwork, update our title, send our mail gift, mail a closing gift. There's a lead time. So we can mail our gifts, do all this stuff. Then, when we're ready to close our transaction, let's do it. We're ready to close. There we go. Now it's going to ask you to confirm some of the data. What is the address, city, state, zip? What's the closing price? Add that in there. And then the starting and closing date. Now this is important. This does go into your goals. How long does it take somebody to move through the sales flow is one of the things that you can see in your goals section. So we'll want to make sure this is correct. Now the starting date starts when we move this person to active. Now since we just did that about 4 seconds ago, it's going to be today. But I can always backdate this if I like. Add in our closing date. And then our commission rate. How much are we making on this, right? So we can put in a percentage, and that does auto-populate, so you can put whatever your normal percentage is. Or you can put in a flat fee. So let's say we're doing a favor for a friend. We can put in our flat fee. I like that percentage. Let's go ahead and use the percentage there. And then we'll select continuing. Congratulations, we've closed the listing. There it is. Okay, so you know what happens to this person once they close a transaction? Got no more transactions. What happens to them? Anyone? They go to flow, exactly. They go back into the marketing section. So I want to continue to send them those contacts, those touch points, those campaigns, all of that great stuff. I want to continue sending that person. So they don't just go back into my database. They go into that marketing section. So they can continue to receive what's going on in that neighborhood, what's going on with my campaigns, my email campaigns, my holidays, my post buyer campaigns. We'll see that in a second of, hey, thank you for buying the home. And then 2 weeks later, hey, can we get a testimonial? Can we get a referral? And all of these other great things that we can use for our email drip campaigns. But they're still getting all of these. Okay, so that is our sales flow. And it's really that simple to move somebody through the sales flow. It's a really simple process. So anything that we want to do for moving that person through the sales flow, we can do that here. Okay, so next we're going to talk about our touch points. So what touch points do we have and how do we send them out? So what we're going to do is go over to people there, and we're going to go to My People. So back to the My People section, and we're going to just grab anybody again. So we'll grab Christine right at the top again. And on the bottom, you can see subscription. So we just clicked on a person, and on the left-hand side, you can see subscriptions. There we go. So we've got two of them in here. One is listing announcements, and the other is neighborhood news. So listing announcements is any of those just listed or just sold listings that we have, we can send those out. So this is an email that gets sent out with that listing. So if we have a group of people that we have subscribed that are potential buyers, we can send out all of the new listings that we have that get sent out here. So I can see all that here. And when they click on it, it'll open up a full listing details page that gets populated from the MLS. So all of that information, so the photo gallery, the full property details, all that great stuff. And not only that, a lot of times when you see those details page, your contact info is on the top, and then once you scroll down, you can't see anything. So by the time they get to the bottom, they just leave. This, on these, your contact information, your photo, your phone number, all of that contact info is going to actually follow them up and down the page, so they can't get away from you. Yeah. Okay, so we have our just listed and just sold listing announcements. Then we also have our neighborhood news. So let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. And what we see in the neighborhood news on the top is we have our zip code up here in the top left. And then we have active, sold, or both listings for the last 30, 60 to 90 days. So we have a lot of really great information and listings that we can see right here from this report. So if we scroll down, we can actually see those listings. And again, we can actually click on any one of these. So if they see a listing that they like, that's, hey, that looks really cool, I might want to live there. They can click on it, and again, that full listing details page shows up with your contact information, and it will show them, again, the full listing information, the photo gallery, the property information, and what is around it. So it'll have that Google map and the mortgage calculator in there. So it gives them a lot of really great information and a way to contact you if they have any questions about any one of those listings or what the market's doing. So on the right side of this, we have the trends data and a little bit of market information. So what is going on in the market throughout the course of the year, the market information, and then again, a mortgage calculator on the bottom. So you have a lot. This whole report was designed to start the conversation of whether somebody's ready to buy or sell. Now what's great about this report is that it gets sent out at the same time every single month. So that's too small. Here we go. So let's add a subscription, and it's going to pull this person's email address and the zip code from their account. Now, if you don't have one in their account, that's fine. You can do whatever you want in here. So their email address or one that you know they can contact them at, and then a zip code. So if you don't have their address, their current address, or their current zip code, put one that you're a specialist in. So if you're a specialist in a specific area, put that in here. And then they can now see those listings. But when they get the report, they can change the zip code. So you can see that they're looking in different areas, and you can see if they say, I don't want it for that zip code anymore, in the future send this zip code. And it will show you that they've changed that in the activity section. So now I select done. This person is subscribed, and over on the left-hand side, we're going to see activity. Now your activity is all of the stuff that we've sent out to them, whether that be presentations, emails, the zip code, or the neighborhood news information we just saw. If they got campaigns emails. But not only that, you can see how they've interacted with it as well. So if they're looking at listings, if they're changing their zip code to neighborhood news, that'll be an activity. If they've opened a presentation that you sent them from Present, so whether that be a buyer tour or a listing presentation, pre-listing, you'll see all the times that they've opened it. So if you come in here and you see that somebody opened one of your presentations 4 times, what should we do? Probably call them, right? It's time to contact that person. So we can see all of that from your activity, how they're interacting with that stuff that we're sending.
And within the activity itself, you can actually log a custom activity as well. So if maybe you have an important conversation that you had with them and you want them to go in there and log that phone call or log that note, you can do that within the activity and create a custom activity, and it'll stay in that chronological order.
Well, you get the idea. Okay, so those are 2 of the touch points. Now we're going to talk about campaigns, so your email campaigns. Actually, before we jump into that, I do want to say this. is that with those subscriptions, because those are your set and forgets, right? You set those up and then somebody's going to be receiving your expertise, your market information every single month. So, but a lot of us have a lot of contacts, right? Some of us have hundreds, thousands of contacts. So you don't have to go into each person's profile and subscribe to the individual. You don't have to do that. So we can't, let's just say I want to do everybody all at once. So I can select all, you can see the check marks, or if you want to do it by groups, or if you want to do any other stuff, you can. So just select all, and then there's the subscribe button. So we can subscribe neighborhood news or listing announcements. So if you have email addresses, you can put in zip codes here if you'd like, so whatever those are. But if I don't have an email address, I can always just get rid of it. Or let's say, I'm a specialist in an area. I want to make sure everybody gets the same zip code. I want them to see the luxury area. So I can go to enter it here, and then enter in a zip code that I know everybody can get. So let's say 953, set, and then go. Now everybody is getting that same zip code. So no matter how you want to do this, whether it's just pull from their profile, add in where you know they're going to be looking, or if you want everyone to get the same zip code, you can add that in this way. Okay, so next we're going to talk about campaigns, and these are your email drip campaigns. So this is how we stay in flow with all those people throughout the course of the year. So these are some campaigns that we've already run here, that we're open, and we can see. So let's go ahead. We have holiday greetings. Again, this is one, we'll show you how to set these up in just a second, but this is how we would see our campaign. So we click on it, and you can see how many people are in my campaign, and how many people unsubscribe. So how many people have not run in here. And I can see who those people are, too. So I can see, there's a bunch of people that unsubscribed. And it was unsubscribed by agent, meaning I did it. They asked me to do it, and I can unsubscribe those people. But I could scroll down, and for the individual emails, I can see the open rate and the unsubscribes as well. So if this holiday campaign comes around again next year, and I know that around tax season, that's when I get a lot of unsubscribes because it bumps people out, then I can get rid of that email in the future. So I can customize my campaign so that it doesn't have that email in it. You'll also see preview on the right-hand side. So no matter how many of these emails are in here, you can see the individual email template itself. So I can go in and see what it looks like. Here we go. Okay, so now how do we add people actually let's go to the add campaign button on the top. So this is how we would start a new campaign. So we go to add campaign, and you're going to see a bunch of them already in here. So this is how we see new campaigns. Now this list is going to be growing. These are the ones that our brokerage created for us. So you can create, they are going to be creating more campaigns, and you're going to see them show up. But there's two ways that campaigns get new people into them. So one, the holiday e-cards. These get sent out on specific days. So this is how they're locked on dates, right? Because holidays happen on specific dates. And we can add people in, and we can do all people. So with my holidays, I'll want to subscribe to everybody, right? So that's all of my people. Or I can do groups. So if you have a specific group of people you wanted to add into a specific campaign, we can do that on the bottom, or individual people. So if I had a campaign that was, let's say, happy birthday, and I made a really cool happy birthday email, and I forget that it was their birthday or what day it was, you can add that person in that day, click done, and it'll send them the happy birthday email that day. Okay. Yeah? Sure.
So this system is going to replace Nubiana. So those contacts that opted out of Nubiana, now you can subscribe on here because this is a different vendor now. So now you're kind of into your spirit, right? So that's a good thing.
Okay, so the other way that we can add people in is by triggers, meaning that they automatically get added in. So if I go back here, so let's say I have my recently closed buyer list here. So I'll want to get people, any of those buyers that I have, to automatically show up in here. So I've got buyers, so anytime that somebody does automatically show up in here, they'll get 2 days later the thank you email. Hey, they closed the list, that's great. Then we have the referral request a week after that. 14 days later, a testimonial request. And they'll continue to get these emails, and I didn't actually have to do anything to get them into. They automatically triggered into this campaign. So now, I'm getting this flow that is with all of these people, and let's say I'm getting a testimonial, a new referral, just because this automatically kicked off. So those are the two ways to hack those in. Now, if we're going to start one of these campaigns, we can run it now. So just as it is, we can, all those people that are in there, we can run that now. Or we can save it as a draft. So if you go into draft, the other button, save as a draft, I can do that. And I can edit my emails here. So if I know I want to get rid of some of these emails, so I can use that trash can right there on the right-hand side. Or if I wanted to add new emails in, I can add that touch point on the bottom and then add in new touch points. So if you wanted to add in new emails or take out some, you can customize this campaign to however you like it. Okay, so that's the campaign portion of this. Now, in campaigns, there's emails, right? The email touch points. So I'm going to go over to my touch points, and this is a list of all of the emails that you have access to, that your brokerage has created. Now, if we go into one of these, we'll just select edit. You can edit the email itself. So if we wanted to, let's go. Big here. Show text. What we're going to see is the email builder. There it is, the button, launch email builder. So if you do that, you can then update what's inside of this email here. So if I wanted to update the image, I wanted to change the text that's in here, I could add in new images just by clicking and dragging that in. Or I can put in, let's say I'm making a newsletter, and I wanted to put listings in here. I can just click, drag, and then I get, all I have to do is put in the MLS number, and it'll have that listing inside of your email touchpoint. So it's really as simple as coming in here and dragging whatever you want into your campaign. So then we can select done, our email is updated, and we can now add that email touchpoint. So if you wanted to come in and create a whole new email template, or you want your own custom campaign, you can come in, use one of these templates, delete everything out of it, and then make your own email touchpoint from scratch, and then you can create your own email campaigns that way. And now if we go to add touchpoint, this is just all of the touchpoints your brokerage has created. So if we come in here, you can see all of those. But when you see those, you can add them to your library. So if you add those to your library, we can go into there and then see all those emails. So if you want to use a different template, you can, or just grab new emails. Okay, so that is campaigns, a brief overview of campaigns. And we can talk about that for like a full hour. But that is just the getting started. So it's a really easy way for you to stay in flow with your people. And then while you're working on transactions, getting in business, working with those people, these campaigns are working for you, sending those touch points to those people that we're now staying in flow with. Okay, so the last thing we'll talk about is our goals section. Now this is our goal for the year. So again, if you come in here, or if you log in and you see something already in here, that's because it's connected to the MLS. So any of those transactions that you've already created, you can, or excuse me, you've already completed, you'll see those in here. So you can see them on the right-hand side. Then you have active and pending and prospects. So the closed transactions, that's the rear view mirror. The active and pending and prospects, that's what's coming up next. We're looking at the road right in front of us. So what are, not only what have we completed, but what are we going to complete throughout the next couple of months? Then I have my crystal ball. So I want to look into the future a little bit here. So this is your GCI forecast. So any of those contacts that you have, you can see what's going to happen next. So this takes into account how you work as an agent. So how many transactions do you have? How many people do you have? How long does it take you to move somebody through the sales flow? It'll take all of that into account and then show you what the rest of the year could look like if we keep going on this trajectory. And last is your comparable average. And this is how you stack up against everybody else. So I've got my transactions here in the first column, and then the average of my office and the average of my MLS. So I can see how much better I'm doing than everybody else. Cool. Okay, so that is Engage in a nutshell. So we're going to start with our Q&A now. So if you have any questions, go ahead and let us know. Well, yes.
Yeah, that is correct. So currently, with the completed MLS transactions, it's only going to pull in your sold data, the buyer data. We're currently working out some kinks with the MLS and getting that information, but for the time being, only the sold listings, but we do have the ability to add in transactions manually. So if you wanted to pull in those buyer transactions, there's a way to do it. Yes. Yep, yeah, so if you want to show how we can, there's a way in the gold section up in the top right-hand corner under the gear icon, you hit GCI gold, and you can adjust your Gotcha. Yeah, so on a per transaction basis, if you wanted to go into could you go into the individual transactions and edit the GCI, the commission rate?
Right, so yeah, in the actual transaction itself, we saw the confirm. On the bottom, you can change that. So I have 3% in there, but you can go whatever you like. But if you also wanted to change the percentage total, so instead of 3% on every one of those, you can change it here under the commission. Yes, good question. Yes? Add it on the buyer side? Yeah, so that, what we mean by that is the way that we close the transaction through here, you can do that as well. So if you went into marketing, let's say we had a buyer transaction. There we go. So we can add in the buyer transaction, first prospect, put it as a buyer. That's how we do it. So it is going to pull that in, but we can use this buyer portion here, put in your MLS number, and then when we complete the transaction, it will show up in the whole section. Whereas the listings, those are going to show up automatically. So this is how we do it. Yes, sir? From the agent website? Is that okay. So that's from the MLS itself, right? So when the listings are getting sent out to those people from the MLS account, I don't think that comes into the page now. It doesn't. So good question. So the question was is when the MLS sends out new listings, is that going to show up in here? No, it's not. Right, so yeah, so if you wanted to create a presentation, good point there, about, let's say, a market snapshot, you just want to show, or maybe post that on Facebook, like, hey, this is what the market's doing right now. Create a market snapshot presentation and present, then you can send it out that way, and then if you make updates to it, so like there aren't new listings you want them to take a look at, then you can send them and just say, hey, check out that same link, click on it again, and it will update automatically, so that way we'll see that post for a day. Because anytime we open a presentation and present, it hits the MLS and pulls back that current date. So if there are any updates, so that, and we have a lot of people that use this just to show people how quickly the market's moving. Like, you know, hey, this does update. So here are all the listings that I'm taking. Click on it today, click on it next week, click on it a month from now, and we'll see those turnover. And then if you wanted to refresh those in 3 or 4 months, and say, hey, okay, here are new listings, take a look at it again, then they can continue to see the progress of the market. Good question. Yes? Okay, so the question was, is in neighborhood news, if somebody's looking at multiple zip codes, how would they see those multiple zip codes? Or do you have to send them multiple reports? And the answer is simple. You can do both. So the way that we set these up is when we come into subscriptions, you put a zip code. Let's actually add a new one here. So we put in a zip code. Now at the top of the report, there is the zip code, but they can change that. So if you wanted to just tell them, hey, if you're looking at multiple zip codes, just put in a different zip code on the top. So you can add in, they can look at multiple zip codes from that one report. Or if you know they're not going to do that, you can always subscribe them to another report so that they can see another zip code from those two reports. So you can send them 2 or 3 or 4, however many you want. Or we can just coach them, hey, you can change that in the report itself. One at a time, correct. So 1 per report, but of course you can, there is a lot of ways to see multiple zip codes, yes. Okay. Beautiful. All right. Well, we'll stick around for another 15, 20 minutes, but thank you all for being here, and you guys enjoy your engage.